Greed is good. How often do you get to come to church and hear that greed is good? Not very often, do you, indeed? No, you're not in some weird 1980s movie starring Michael Douglas. This is not an Enron board meeting circa the mid-2000s, or even a family dinner at the Madoff's home. Yeah, that's right. But greed can be good. Now, when you think of a greedy person, what do you normally think of? Scrooge is like the quintessential example, isn't he? From literature. You got this hunched-over wealthy man who won't even give his employees a tiny little lump of coal to burn at Christmas, despite it being freezing outside. The moral of the story is, don't be like Scrooge, right? Be generous, not greedy. Or how about Kenneth Lay and the Enron board? Kind of a classic example of a company run amok, stealing people's wealth, right? And lying about the financial reports. The moral of the story with Enron is don't be greedy like Kenneth Lay and the board at Enron, but instead be honest and truthful and good, right? What about Bernie Madoff? Right, Bernie stole all these people's money through a Ponzi scheme, got fabulously wealthy, lived a great looking life. It was actually a terrible life, I think, but had lots of nice stuff. But it destroyed him and his family. The moral of the story is, don't be greedy like Bernie Madoff, but be honest and generous and good. Right? But greed is good. So Jesus is walking on the road to Jerusalem with his disciples, isn't he, in our reading from this morning. And then a man comes up to him, Lord, Lord, I want to follow you. Jesus is like, excellent. But foxes have holes, and birds have nests. But my followers and I, we don't have anywhere to sleep night by night. And the text is silent on this, but I think it's safe to assume that despondent the man sulks away quietly from our Lord. Because he doesn't start following him and become one of the disciples, and we never hear from him again or see him again. He's worried about where he's going to stay at night. A reasonable concern. A second man approaches Jesus. Lord, I will follow you anywhere. Jesus says, oh, this is exciting. It's very exciting. But first, the man says, let me go and bury my father. Now, is burying the dead something that's bad? Something that you're not supposed to do? No, it's commended. In fact, you could argue the man was following the fifth commandment, to honor thy mother and thy father. By going to bury his father, he was honoring him and his family. But Jesus gives him one of the harshest rebukes anyone in the Bible gets. Let the dead bury their own. You just go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Finally, this man sulks away quietly, I imagine, disappointed and hurt. A third man approaches, Lord, I want to follow you. But first, let me go and say goodbye to my family. I can't pull out an iPhone and FaceTime them. I don't know when I'll see them again. And Jesus says, if you would put your hand to the plow of the gospel and turn away, even for a second, you're not worthy of the kingdom of God. And this man, too, sulks away quietly and leaves. You see, being a follower of Jesus, becoming a disciple, is kind of weird, isn't it? If you think about it, think about the people who live near you or work with you. How many of them are daily followers of Jesus Christ? If the statistics about church attendance are to be believed, less than 1 in 4 of them are weekly followers on a Sunday basis. In fact, less than 1 in 4 of them are monthly followers as judged by church attendance on a Sunday. So if you're going to be a daily follower of Jesus, it's really kind of a weird and unusual thing. Most people aren't willing to do it. Because to do it requires a prioritization of your time and your money and your efforts. To follow Jesus, to be his disciple, requires that you be greedy for God. Because being greedy is just about wanting something else a lot more than you want other things. Now, what was it that Scrooge and Enron and Ken Lay and Bernie Madoff wanted? They wanted money. They were greedy for money. And they kind of made that like their God. That was the central focus and thing of their life, right? Were they successful in getting it? They actually were for quite a long time. Was it good for them? It really wasn't. Ken Lay and some board members went to prison. Scrooge repented and changed his whole life in the way he lived in the Canterbury Tales. Bernie Madoff is serving the rest of his life in prison and had a son commit suicide. He said when he got arrested, it was the best thing that ever happened to him, because he didn't have to lie and run anymore. So if you're greedy for money, it will destroy you. So greed for wealth is not good. Greed for anything of this earth is not good, because it will destroy you. But if you are greedy for God, if you make seeking friendship with God the primary focus of your life, it means you'll be the type of person who talks to God every day. You'll be the type of person who listens to God every day. You'll be the type of person who is faithful with your time. And it will improve your life and the lives of those around you. If you are greedy for God, you become the type of person that has a vibrant ministry of your own, where you go and be the hands and feet of Jesus in the world. Not because you have to, but because you're greedy for God. It's what you're focused on. It's what you want. If you are greedy for God, you become the type of person who is good and loving and generous. And your greed's contagious. Because of the way you live your life, you'll make other people want to be greedy for God too. Because they'll see how it is blessing you and others around you. Secretly, we are all greedy for something. Right? No one would say, I'm a greedy person, because it's like impolite, and you don't want to be thought of like Bernie Madoff or Ken Lay or Scrooge. But you are. You are greedy for something. There is something that's more important to you than anything else. Something that you forsake other people and other things for to seek. If you're going to be greedy for something anyways, you might as well be greedy for God. Amen.